It's Thursday, October 24th, 2024. After all this time, Democrats play the only hand they apparently ever had. Maricopa County is a third world Blankhole update, and Mike Rowe issues a warning. Next on the AM Update. Tomorrow is another edition of Ask or Tell Me Anything. You can ask me any question you want. Tell me any news story you think needs covered on the AM Update. You can make your submissions. Look for the pinned tweet on my X profile at RealAMUpdate. And now on with the Thursday edition. A family attorney and the sister of slain Texas soldier Vanessa Guillen both dismissed a report from The Atlantic earlier this week alleging that former President Donald Trump refused to pay for the Army specialist's funeral and disparaged her ethnicity. The piece, written by the magazine's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, claims Trump fumed about $60,000 in bills he received from Guillen's family for her funeral during a December 2020 Oval Office meeting, allegedly telling aides, quote, "It doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a bleeping Mexican." The piece was quickly glommed onto by the Kamala campaign as well as mainstream media. Sorry for the redundancy there. CBS News even spent the entire first part of their CBS Evening News broadcast on the story. But it wasn't just Guillen's sister and attorney that debunked the story. Former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows also debunked it, along with other former staff of President Trump who are in on the conversation. Nevertheless, Kamala Harris, standing behind a Vice President of the United States emblazoned lectern, had these words from the Naval Observatory yesterday.
We learned that Donald Trump's former Chief of Staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him.
And blah, 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 blah. That was another part of the Atlantic hit piece on Donald Trump. I'm sure Jeffrey Goldberg had been working on that piece meticulously for the last 3 or 4 years, and he just mysteriously got it done 2 weeks before the election. I'm sure that is the case indeed. Yeah, not really. Again, Kamala Harris, standing behind a lectern emblazoned with the executive branch of the United States, once again, 2 weeks before the election, compared Donald Trump. He's literally Hitler. He's a racist as well. It didn't stop there. Karine Jean-Pierre at the White House added this.
And I can't believe I even have to say this, but our nation's veterans are heroes. They are heroes. They're not losers or suckers, they are heroes. And to be praising Adolf Hitler is dangerous, and it's also disgusting.
So just to be clear, when you said we do agree, President Biden believes that Donald Trump is a fascist.
I mean, yes, we've said, he said himself.
So she was asked, Karine Jean-Pierre was asked, does the White House believe that Donald Trump is a fascist? And Karine Jean-Pierre emphatically answers yes. Folks, I don't know how much more clear it needs to be made. These are words spoken behind the official executive branch lecterns, emblazoned with the seals of Vice President of the United States. With the logo of the White House, these are official communiques from the White House. They could not be more clear. They are trying to get Donald Trump killed, or even worse than that. They're trying to justify preemptively, should Donald Trump win in just a couple of weeks, they are trying to preemptively justify an armed coup against him. I really believe that. These are not just campaign stump speeches. These are not just off-the-cuff remarks. Kamala Harris compared Donald Trump to Hitler again, in front of a lectern emblazoned with the Vice President of the United States seal. Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, got up there and said, yes, it is the White House's position that Donald Trump is a fascist. They are preemptively justifying whatever comes next. The Donald Trump campaign came out with a statement yesterday saying, quote, Kamala Harris is a stone-cold loser who is increasingly desperate because she is flailing and her campaign is in shambles. That's why she continues to peddle outright lies and falsehoods that are easily disproven. The fact is, Kamala's dangerous rhetoric is directly to blame for multiple assassination attempts against President Trump, and she continues to stoke the flames of violence all in the name of politics. She is despicable, and her grotesque behavior proves she is wholly unfit for office. That is the Trump campaign's reaction and response to the story that was that was started at The Atlantic by Jeffrey Goldberg and propagated by the mainstream media and the Kamala campaign. Speaking of Kamala, here is more from her Telemundo interview the other day. Every interview she does, even with friendly media, is an abject disaster.
Right now, we're talking about border security, and there's no Democrat talking about pathway to citizenship, an immigration relief, and the benefits that migrants bring to this country.
Oh, but there's no question that migrants bring. America is a country that was built in part by immigrants.
But people are concerned about their TPS, their DACA, we're talking about mass deportations.
I'm not talking about.
What do you stand on mass deportations? What's your stand there?
We need smart, humane immigration policy in America.
Mm-hmm. I really wish you could see that. That is a softball interviewer right there, and Kamala is utterly flustered by the line of questioning. I don't know if you heard this or picked up on this. He's trying to set her up to call Donald Trump a racist and a xenophobe. That's what he's trying to do there. He's giving her a softball to just completely whack Donald Trump, and she looks utterly confused. Like, what in the world are you talking about? I'm not for mass deportation. No, Kamala. He was trying to set you up to smack Donald Trump, and she couldn't pick up on that. She's just a really poor communicator, especially in these environments. Former Democrat presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, now a part of the Trump campaign, at least a speaker at various Trump rallies, made this announcement. She is an independent. She left the Democrat Party a while ago. She's an independent, well, not anymore.
And it is because of my love for our country, and specifically because of the leadership that President Trump has brought to transform the Republican Party and bring it back to the party of the people and the party of peace, that I'm proud to stand here with you today, President Trump, and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party.
That's a surprise to basically nobody, but still the optics are nothing but good for Donald Trump there. He has brought together Tulsi Gabbard, a former Democrat presidential candidate, RFK Jr., basically a Democrat. He's brought them together as a part of his campaign. I don't know how the optics could be that much better. And yeah, you're probably going to say, yeah, I wish that we could actually have some constitutionalism, some conservatism here. I know. But given the environment that we're in right now, I think this is probably the best at this juncture we could hope for. And now we go to Maricopa County. It's not one of the top 20 richest counties in the United States, but it is a pretty well-off county. You'd think that they'd be able to do better than a third world country in terms of counting votes. Apparently not. Here is 12 News in Arizona.
Anyway, very tight races here. In fact, Maricopa County is setting the stage that tabulating all these votes may not be an election night thing. It may take days.
Wow. Well, 12 News journalist Colleen Sikora explains that county leaders are asking voters for patience and to be prepared.
Tight races, high interest in the election, and a two-page ballot are leaving Maricopa County officials warning of lines on Election Day, and also warning it's going to take them 10 to 13 days to tabulate results. 2 pages and an average of 79 contests per ballot.
We are expecting heavy turnout this year, and so that's why we're really encouraging people to vote early.
2 weeks out from Election Day, and some votes are in.
More than 400,000 people have cast their ballot in Maricopa County.
That's out of an anticipated 2.1 million voter turnout this year.
We are seeing a little bit of a lag of where we were in 2020, but the last few days we've actually seen an uptick in turnout, so I am expecting that we will start approaching very close to those 2020 numbers.
What can impact the amount of results released and when early ballots dropped off on Election Day.
Our races will be close.
And on Election Day, lines are expected, even with an increase in vote centers and voting booths at those vote centers.
If you're going to vote on Election Day, vote in person and use that on-site tabulator so that those votes will be tabulated on that evening, as opposed to dropping off your early ballot on Election Day.
The county adding more high-speed tabulators, more election workers.
We're increasing staffing at our ballot processing as well, because again, we're handling double the number of the sheets of paper. And so we are looking to both have extra...
To once again sound the alarm bell on the issue of a lack of tradespeople. Here he is.
...an election administration, and that's through tabulation.
But tabulation expected to take time.
We do expect that it will take between 10 and 13 days.
What? A 2-minute news report, and they bury that all the way at the end? In Maricopa County, they say it's going to take them almost 2 weeks. 2 weeks to count votes. I read somewhere yesterday that Argentina, yes, that Argentina, it took them 6 hours to count 99.9% of their votes in that country for their latest national election. But no, Maricopa County, Arizona, says they're going to need 10 to 13 days to count the results. This is the cloud that's hanging over my head with this election. And finally, Mike Rowe of Dirty Jobs joined Fox News recently with Brian Kilmeade to once again sound the alarm bell on the issue of a lack of tradespeople. Here he is.
You know, what's interesting is we kind of look the other way, slave labor, make our cheap goods, and we bought them for cheaper, even with shipping them here rather than make them here. Trump's going to reconfigure that. He's going to slap tariffs on these manufacturing countries who pay ridiculously low wages, and he's going to put them back and no longer make it financially feasible not to make things here. Do you think the Americans have the mentality to grasp this opportunity?
You know, I do, but I think there's another part of the argument that gets lost a lot. The part you're talking about now are myths and misperceptions and stigmas and stereotypes and all sorts of stuff, gunk, really, that has to be debunked. You know, these misperceptions that surround the trades are real, and they've kept a whole generation of kids from exploring them. But we're also dealing with some really alarming math. And I'm not sure any policy is going to change the fact that for every 5 tradespeople who retire this year, 2 will replace them. And it's been that way, Brian, for over a decade. So I can give you dozens of anecdotal stories, but the one that's on my mind now was a call I got a few months ago from a company I'd never heard of called Blue Forge Alliance. They represent 15,000 individual companies that make up the American submarine industrial base. These guys are currently building 4 nuclear-powered subs, 2 Columbia-class, 2 Virginia-class. It's overwhelmingly complex. They need to hire 100,000 tradespeople in the next 9 years. This guy called me and said, "Can you help?" And I said, "Help you find 100,000 tradespeople?" And he said, "Yeah, do you know where they are?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. They're in the 8th grade." We have to start now.
Yeah.
Because we're racing the math, and the math almost never loses.
That is Mike Rowe sounding the alarm bell. Even if we reshore American manufacturing, there's no great swaths of people out there with these skills, if you even get past the point of want to fill those jobs. That's a very prescient warning from Mike Rowe. And I hope that people around the country are starting to put into works something that'll actually help American youth be interested in the trades again. Because as Mike just pointed out there, they have not been for a generation. And that's a big problem. Even if you can reshore all these jobs, that's a great thing. But if you don't have anybody to fill those jobs, that's an even bigger problem. That'll do it for today. Again, Ask or Tell Me Anything. That is tomorrow. Looking forward to it. We'll be back at it again then. I'm Aaron McIntyre, and this is the AM Update.